in any move that you make in the NBA, in any move that you make in sports, in any move that you make in business, there's always going to be a risk factor to it. And I think the question that Rob Pelinka's got to ask himself as he was making this trade last night, what's the risk reward? If you think Rob Pelinka traded for Mark Williams last night, technically 2 first-rounders, right? You traded away Dalton Connect. We'll get into him in just a second. You traded away a first-rounder, your 2031 first-rounder, a pick swap in 2030. If you think they traded just for Mark Williams and there's no other storylines around it, then I don't think you're looking at the big picture for Rob Pelinka. Rob Pelinka traded for Mark Williams because Luka wants a player like Mark Williams. Rob Pelinka traded for Mark Williams because Pelinka wants to have at least some kind of resemblance of a roster going into the rest of this season and into the playoffs. Pelinka traded for Mark Williams because he's saying in his mind, okay, I don't know what this team's going to be. That's going to be one of my topics here. I genuinely am not 100% sure what this team's going to look like, how they're going to jive. Nobody does. If anybody thinks they know what this team is, I think we're all kind of BSing each other. I think everyone has a curiosity of what this team is and where it could potentially go. But Pelinka is saying to himself, so what do you want me to do? Hold on to these picks and wait till the summer? I lose another year out of LeBron James. I got big decisions coming up. There's no guarantee and lock that that's it. Luka's done. He's going to be a Los Angeles Laker for the next 5 years, 8 years, or whatever the case is. I'm sure there's whether Luka's putting pressure on the Lakers front office or Rob Pelinka's just putting pressure on himself, which I think it's the latter. I think it's Pelinka saying to himself, no, I just went and traded for Luka. Let me start putting this roster around so I could at least make sure that in a couple months from now, I could see Luka and LeBron on the same floor together and getting a chance to get a playoff run in. What's that playoff run going to look like? I'm not sure. Okay, let's talk about what they gave up. I was listening to Bobby Marks. Bobby Marks, phenomenal for ESPN. Just listening to him right before he was putting up a podcast, and I'm like, all right, let me get his thoughts. He's really, really good at a lot of this stuff. Looks at he's really good at the contracts and the first apron and second apron, all that stuff. He said Lakers gave up a haul, and I've heard that now. I've heard that from people saying, all right, well, you just basically gave up 2 first-rounders for an injury-prone center who's 23 years old that certainly, could do a lot for the Lakers. But he's got to be available. He's got to be there. I think we all understand that. Is there risk? Yes. I said that before. I'll say it again. Yes, there's risk. Like that's in anything you do, there's definitely risk. But I also kind of think it's a no-brainer. The Lakers trade picks. That's what they do. I was looking back. Somebody had put this up on Twitter a couple days ago. And I didn't see it. I didn't really read the details, and I apologize if I know who it was. But it was something along the lines of, here's what the Lakers got with Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, and some of those picks. They ended up trading all that for Anthony Davis, winning an NBA championship. And then with Anthony Davis, they were able to trade that to get Luka Doncic at 25. So they're going to stop at the 2031 first-round pick. So they're going to stop at Dalton Connect. And I'm telling you, I'm a fan of Dalton Connect. And I want to have a conversation about him separately, so I don't want to do too much. But they're going to stop there. They just got Luka. Can Charlotte benefit from the position the Lakers are in? Sure. You guys remember this? 2 weeks ago, I said, if I'm a team in the NBA, I want to make a move with the Lakers because there's a little bit of, this was before they traded for Luka, but there was a little bit of desperation is not the right word. It's sense of urgency. Lakers, it always feels like have a sense of urgency. Did that change now with Luka? Sure, because now you could think more of a long-term vision, but there's still a sense of urgency. It's just different. The sense of urgency just has different clothing on, but there's always a sense of urgency with the Lakers. The sense of urgency now is I got to make sure Luka feels comfortable here. Luka's getting what he wants here. That Luka, when he gets on the basketball floor, says to himself, okay, kind of like what we're building here. Got Dorian Finney-Smith over there. That's one of my guys. LeBron, even at age 40, is still doing amazing, amazing things. He's obviously going to be an incredible asset for as long as LeBron wants to do it. They still have something to keep in mind here, which I think is important. Somebody else mentioned this, and I think it's very, very important to keep in mind. You traded Dalton Knecht, Cam Reddish, and a first rounder. Okay. Cam Reddish was completely out of the rotation. The 2031 pick is not something clearly like I'm talking about right now. You're not stopping at the 2031 pick. We've been talking about getting rid of these picks, we've been talking about for over a year or so. Pelinka was the one in the summer that spent some time saying that, was it in the summer or before the summer? I think last trade deadline. He's like, I'm going to have 3 first rounders to work with. Well, you know what Pelinka did with those 3 first rounders? Drafted Dalton Knecht, traded him. 2029 went to Luka, part of the Luka deal. 2031 went part of it went to this Mark Williams deal. So to kind of take me back, kind of looking at this deal and looking at the details. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I know Rob Pelinka is doing what he needs to do to make this team as competitive as possible with Luka and LeBron. He's doing his job. I put on the title here that Pelinka sends a message. Let me be clear what I mean by he sent a message. Not to me, not to you, not to any Laker fans. His message is to Luka. I'm not going to sit around and wait. I'm not going to sit around and waste time. Hopefully, Mark Williams is the type of player that they're looking for. I love that he's just 23 years old. I love that he's in his rookie contract right now. I love that next year he's still on the books for the Lakers. I love that when you look at this Lakers roster, you still got Rui, you still got Gabe, you still got Reeves, you still got Vando, you still got Dorian Finney-Smith. You still got a lot of depth and assets that you can still turn around. Another thing Bobby Marks mentioned. Bobby Marks said, hey, by the time they get to the summer, however the Lakers season ends, this is what they run with, and whatever it looks like, it looks like. By the time they get to the summer, okay, what can they do from there? Because they've given up all these picks. Well, here's where the summer becomes interesting. If they don't make any other moves. By the way, they still have a second rounder that they can use, and then there's going to be a roster spot available in the buyout market. So one of the things Rob Pelinka loves doing, and he's been doing this for the last few years, he always has a roster spot available by the time you get to that trade deadline and by the time you get to that buyout market, because if there's a pretty good player that just got traded to a bad team that wants out of his current contract or wants to leave that team, then he's going to be available in the buyout market. And the Lakers could at least say, here's our presentation of why you should come here. And Lakers are going to get that opportunity. And by the way, there's a lot of players like that get in the buyout market that look at the Lakers and say, God, I can get great exposure. I'm trying to earn another contract next year. Let me use the Lakers by trying to be an asset to them. And there's going to be so many eyes on the Lakers. And that's not going to change here in these next couple of, in these next couple of weeks or so. So there could be some opportunities there as well. Overall, my thoughts on the trade is Pelinka did what he needed to do to give at least LeBron and Luka, give them some kind of an opportunity the rest of the year. Lakers are playing good ball. They've won 9 of their last 11 games. Oh, here's what I was saying about getting to the summer. In the summer, let's figure out the rest of the season, whatever it looks like, whatever happens. Let's say Lakers make the playoffs or out in the first round. I don't know what's going to happen, but let's just pretend whatever it is, it happens. After that, I think the thing to pay, most attention to is this is the assets that the Lakers would have after losing all those other assets that they had as far as draft pick capital. You'll have an expiring Rui Hachimura contract. You'll have an expiring Gabe Vincent contract. You'll have an Austin Reeves contract that still has incredible value there. The point I'm trying to make is that just because they lost their draft capital, it doesn't mean they lost their assets. So I'm excited where this thing is going. I think they did exactly what they needed to do. And I think Rob Pelinka right now is flexing his muscle around the league. And it also doesn't guarantee anything. They could be out in the first round. So like I'm not trying to tell you that that's it. This is the move the Lakers needed, and they're gonna go make a finals run. I don't know what this team is. I just know I feel like Pelinka has he's done his job. And then now he can just kind of hand the keys over to JJ Redick and say, do the best that you can. I put out a video yesterday about JJ Redick, and I was talking about how I've just been so impressed with what this guy has been able to do, up to this point. And he's going to have now a completely new roster to try to figure it out. I'm not telling you that's easy, but that's the situation he's in. That's the position that he's in. And it's going to be exciting to watch. So let me, I wrote this down here. Here's what Rob Pelinka's done since December 29th. And I'm not trying to convince Laker fans that you have to like this or not. If your opinion is, because I saw a lot of people, talking about how a lot of Laker fans too saying Lakers gave up too much. What are they doing? This guy's too injury prone. So, a lot of other people saying, I loved Max Christie. What are they doing? That was, you need these young pieces. I'm not trying to tell you you're right or you're wrong, because I don't know how this is going to pan out this year and in the future. But just listen to how active and how different everything is since December 29th for the Lakers. Here are the players that are no longer on this roster: Anthony Davis, Max Christie, D'Angelo Russell, Dalton Knecht, Maxwell Lewis, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Cam Reddish, your 2029 first rounder, your 2031 first rounder. I probably missed a couple second rounders in the process as well. That's 9 players or draft picks that are off of this roster since December 29th. Here's who's in: Luka Doncic, Dorian Finney-Smith, Shake Milton, Maxi Kleber, Markieff Morris, Mark Williams now of the Charlotte Hornets, obviously a part of that deal as well. So just big time shakeup to this Lakers roster, this organization, the present, the future, and you got to be excited about it. You got to be excited about it because there's a little bit of the unknown right now. All right, thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.